Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Power Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Just got the brakes fixed on my car today.
You did? You haven't even left the office.
I didn't need to. I got a guy who picks up my car and drops it off when it's done.
Well, who's your guy?
Graham Tire. They have pickup and delivery service at all 5 of their Lincoln locations.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com. That's GrahamTireLincoln.com. Let us do the running. Some limitations apply. See store for details.
Gentlemen, are you ready for something beyond the ordinary haircut? At Scissors and Scotch Lincoln, they blend your old school barber feel with your favorite watering hole. Sink into a comfy chair, unwind with a complimentary drink, and let their master barbers handle the rest. It's not just grooming, it's an experience. Whether you're prepping for a big meeting, needing to get cleaned up before family comes to town, or just need a little time to yourself, Scissors and Scotch Lincoln delivers sharp style every time. Book now at Scissors and Scotch in Lincoln, just south of 30th and Yankee Hill Road.
It's basketball season, and Salt Mine City is your pregame and postgame headquarters in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Get ready for the game with their big, fatty 7-ounce hamburger or try a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, your basketball headquarters, now open at 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
and electrical.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Welcome into The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Canopy Street Market.
All right, welcome in to The Breeze. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. Just Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. We got no DP, no Haas Breezy, but don't worry. Those guys are all taking care of business, and I do believe DP traveling, so you can understand why he wouldn't be streaming in on the show right now. And, of course, Haas Breezy, he's a coach, so he's got to take care of that as well, and good luck to him as he's going for some wins here on this Sunday. If you guys want to join in, we are still local. I think we have Husker Hoops, NCAA Hoops taking over later at some point, but we'll be local for quite a while yet. You can join in 402-464-5685. Funny things to talk about. I want to open it up. Shout out Team USA men and women's hockey. They both get a 2-1 finish over Canada, both for a gold medal. I don't know how it could work out so perfectly, but what a gutsy performance. Obviously, I'm here at the studio, so it couldn't be super locked in on it, but just going through and seeing some of the highlights, Hughes get the high stick to the face, bloodied, maybe missing a few teeth out there, and he's also the one who's able to punch that one in for those guys to go ahead and get the win for the 3-on-3 in overtime. Just incredible. First time since 1980, the Miracle on Ice, that the U.S. has won an Olympic gold and medal in men's hockey. And then, of course, the women did the same thing. So men and women hockey dominate, and they both take home gold. I don't know what else you could say there. I think that was what everybody was hoping for. I know my friends alone in their group text is going crazy. A lot of people are enjoying it. Also, you had Husker men's basketball yesterday. They took down the Nittany Lions. Anticipated, we'll get into that. And then the women, they have a big one today. They have Washington. They are on 6 straight losses. So the women just need to figure out a way to close out these next 2 games. I think they're kind of hovering around that first 4 out territory, especially with that tough loss to Oregon. You drop this one versus a good Washington team, but maybe not a great Washington team, as currently Washington sitting at a 9-7 in Big Ten play, 19-8 overall. And why I say that is you don't have a whole lot of opportunities, because then you do get Rutgers at home, and Rutgers should be a game where they take care of business. The Rutgers, I don't think they have one. Okay, they do have one Big Ten win. They're 1-15 in Big Ten play. They're 9-18 overall. If you're Nebraska, you take care of Washington, gives you a much better chance. Hopefully, you go take care of Rutgers as well. I don't know if those 2 wins do enough to be able to punch their ticket or solidify themselves as like one of the last 4 into the tournament. But certainly, if they lose to Rutgers, even if they beat Washington, you're probably sitting out on the outside looking in, which nobody had on the bingo card. It was, I think, at one point in time, you're looking at this Nebraska basketball team, and they were undefeated all the way up until they played number 17 USC, but close game, 74-66. Maybe you can accept that. Then you play a ranked Iowa. It's a 10-point loss. Thought maybe you could play a little bit better, but then you go right back on track. You beat Purdue, Indiana, and then you really get blown out by number 4 UCLA. Okay, good team. Number 15 Michigan State, another good team. You lose that one by 2, and at this point, just kind of felt like the rails fell off. And I can't exactly tell you why. Wisconsin beats them 63-60, and you get 2 wins versus Illinois Northwestern, and then, like I said, it's been 6 straight losses. Not, and these have been tough games too, but you're in the Big Ten. A lot of these are going to be tough. They lost to number 11 Ohio State, the number 8 Michigan, the number 22 Minnesota, number 22 Maryland. Then they lost on the road to Minnesota, which was a shocker, I think, for quite a few people. Then they lost to number 13 Iowa at home, and then their last game, they kind of fell apart. They somehow lost to Oregon on the road, and they were leading for a majority of that game there. In that first half, Nebraska was actually outscoring them by 5. In the second half, they start the third quarter red hot. They extend the lead even more. And in the fourth quarter, things just kind of fall apart. They get outscored 15-28, which lets the Oregon Ducks come all the way back and secure a 4-point victory after pretty much being down the entirety of the game. Kind of punched their ticket right there, that I don't know if they have enough on the resume anymore to make it to the tournament. Maybe a win versus Washington. Well, I'll be honest, a win versus both these next 2, I think, is kind of a must, if that is still the goal. And obviously on the men's side, as I said, they had a great one versus Penn State. They won it 64-87, number 9 Nebraska. Men's basketball is now sitting here at 23-4. They are 12-4 in Big Ten play. Penn State Nittany Lions, they dropped down to an 11-17 record and 2-15 in Big Ten play. This was a game that, again, you got to have it. Not absolutely detrimental if you lose this game, but it'll certainly hurt you where the seeding projections are. Nebraska right now is probably sitting pretty firmly in that 3 to 4 spot. And, when you kind of just look across college basketball, a lot of these teams are top 10 teams, top 15 teams. They're taking losses. We're not the only ones that had a tough low stretch there. And you'll see this pattern. Sometimes it'll hurt teams more than others. We're at this point in the season. It's February 22nd. Not only are we deep into conference play, a lot of these teams have seen each other once and are about to play each other for their second time. These teams are familiar with each other and know what their strengths are. They already likely had an opportunity to play them, whether at home or on the road. They're familiar with how they operate. That's why this stuff gets more and more common as the seasons go on, and you're rarely going to have teams that just never cough up a loss, because it's a really hard thing to do. And that's why when those teams pull up, it's always an exceptional team and an incredible storyline. But I don't think anyone was too panicked. I think people were upset with the Iowa loss because it was Iowa. I know we had some text saying that the season was over. Well, not the season's over, but we will lose in the first tournament game. Just, I guarantee it, were some of the quotes out there from the text line. And I don't know how much people really believe that or if they're just in their feelings. I like to think people were mainly just upset because it was the Iowa Hawkeyes. And obviously they did all the extra on it with presenting the Heroes Trophy, and they had their football team there, at least a lot of them, obviously not the entire football team in there. Bring the cheerleaders. They're wearing like the white jerseys. Obviously the men wearing the black Hawkeye jerseys. And of course the fans, the F Bryce Stanford wasn't fun. The storming of the court, didn't enjoy that. Fred Hoiberg at the phone shoved in his face. He clearly didn't enjoy that. Big Ten said he did nothing wrong, though. So we're good there. Of course, then you had some more fans of Iowa, storming around Bryce Stanford. Nothing crazy happening. Good job on security for getting around Bryce Stanford when they did. Although I don't know if anything was going to happen, but good job there. There was just a lot of elements to that game that sucked. And of course, the officiating. I don't think the officiating was great for Iowa or Nebraska. I'm biased, so I'd certainly make the argument that it hurt Nebraska more. Did it hurt us enough to lose the basketball game? I don't know. The whole problem with officiating, though, is just because it didn't cost you the win or it didn't cost you the loss, why is it okay to just not be great at officiating or have no rhythm to the game? Every time I talk about this, you'll hear people say, well, it's not the reason X, so-and-so won or so-and-so lost. Like, that's not the point I'm trying to make, is no one should have to put up with bad officiating. From Nebraska to Iowa to, I don't care who it is. We're talking SEC, Big 12, what used to be the Pac-12, I guess, but the Pac-12, no one wants to see bad officiating. It ruins the game flow. It happens all the time in college basketball, and that's why you get to Nebraska versus Iowa games that are just slugfest. And I don't have hardly any rhythm going on because I don't think the officiating is good enough to allow rhythm to exist. When you're going from letting the guys play super physical and, well, actually, let me just say the opposite, because in that Iowa game, they lost control in the first 5 minutes. It felt like they were just going to let them play physical, and then it got really physical fast, and they didn't quite draw the line there. And then at some point in the second half, it kind of got switched up of okay, we're actually going to play a pretty clean game here. We're not going to be grabbing on each other, leaning on each other, only on certain plays, though. Otherwise, we're just going to go back to how we were calling in the first half. It was some of the worst officiating, I've seen this season. I don't want to say ever, because unfortunately I've seen a lot of games officiated poorly, and it's not always the officials' fault. You got to put some of the blame on. There's just not enough officials out there. Part of that's on the NCAA. Maybe it's on the conferences, but you got to figure out a system to where you're getting officials that have more experience and that you trust more and have a good track record. Or at least just have those guys get more reps. Like, maybe it's not the officials themselves, but just the lack of practice that they get. Again, those guys aren't full-time officials. They usually have other gigs that they do. And how often is the side gig the one that you really take care of the most and you take the most pride in? I'm not saying that these officials don't care, but maybe they just don't care enough as they need to, because their names, usually aren't going to be in the headline if Nebraska takes a painful loss to Iowa. It's going to be, obviously about Iowa beating Nebraska. The officials, yeah, it's a story. It's part of it. People will be talking about it and passing comments, but it's not the end all be all on where that narrative is going to go. So I think you got to make them full time. It's not an easy problem to fix. It's easy for me to sit here and complain about it, but you have to do something in terms of making that more consistent to where you don't have broken game flow. Because it felt like not only can the fans get frustrated watching it, but the players. And again, I use this Iowa Nebraska example because it's clear that both players were not enjoying the officiating and were kind of struggling to figure out where those boundaries are. So it's tough. But then they come back and they bounce with a win over Penn State for Nebraska men's basketball. And I think that's kind of where people anticipated. Again, losing to Iowa was not fun. I don't think anyone was seriously, outside of a very small portion, seriously thought this Nebraska team completely sold itself, and everything that we saw prior to get to the 23 wins, or at that time 22 wins, was an absolute lie. No, they're good. They have been good. It was a tough road game. They lost to Iowa. You tip your cap to Iowa, but they move on, and that's what they did. They played the Nittany Lions, and they dominated. 87-64 was the final score in that one. Really great start for them in that first half. In the second half, even better on offense, but unfortunately defensively, they maybe took their foot off the gas a little bit. First half, Nebraska scores 38 points while holding Penn State to an ugly 20 points in the first half is what the Nittany Lions had. And the second half, Nebraska puts up 49. They do give up 44, but again, at that point, it was over. You could argue garbage time points. Penn State did a little bit of damage, but the game was pretty well put away. Some of the key numbers in this one, we'll go individual stats. We'll go through some of the team. Obviously, it was Price Sanford's game. He dominated. He was 33 points on the night in 35 minutes. He was 11 for 17. He shot well over 50% from the three. He was 8 of 14 from the 3-point line alone. 3 for 3 on the free throws. Also was the game's leading rebounder, at least for Nebraska, with 9 boards. He had 2 assists and only the 1 turnover. Great stuff you like to see there. And obviously a block as well. Prager had a pretty solid game there. He shot 50% from the floor, 50% from 3. He was 5 of 10 from the floor, 4 of 8 from 3. Ironically, shot 50% from the free throw line as well. So shot 50% in every possible way, good and bad. Rebound 6, only 1 turnover, 1 steal. You'll take that. And he gives you 4 offensive rebounds, which you really enjoy that one. Other than that, you got 11 points from Sam Hoiberg. Again, just really efficient, 4 of 7, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds. How about this? 10 assists. A double-double for Sam Hoiberg with those 10 assists, actually. 3 turnovers, 2 steals, and 1 offensive rebounds, 5 defensive rebounds again. So a total of 5 there. So nice little double-double game for Sam Hoiberg with 11 points and then 10 assists. Jamarcus Lawrence would give you 9 on 4 of 11 shooting, and then Rink Mast would give you 8 on 4 of 11 shooting. And those are your starters off the bench. Nebraska, we didn't see a whole lot, although we get to see some guys get some more minutes out there. Leo Curtis, he had 2 points in 10 minutes on the floor. Jared Garcia, he had 4 points in 19 minutes on the floor. He also grabbed 7 rebounds, which great. I think if you're wanting more out of Jared Garcia, I don't think anyone's asking, hey, we need you average above 10 points a game. 4 points is fine. If you're going to give me 7 rebounds in 19 minutes, fantastic. That's what we need. I think that's what we needed versus Michigan, versus Illinois, versus Purdue. Rebounds. And he did that. So good job for Garcia. I know his minutes, he kind of had some opportunities earlier in the year. I thought he did good at times, and then it kind of fell apart. It felt like in the middle stretch, he gets another opportunity and some garbage time versus Penn State. Love to see it. 7 rebounds, 19 minutes. If you can get more of that consistently, I think that's a lot of the answers for Nebraska basketball. Again, when we're talking about this rebounding problem, Kendall Blue goes out there, 3 points. Good to see him get the bucket down. Only 1 minute to play, though. And then Cale Jacobson, 18 minutes. He has 2 points and a couple assists in there as well. Just really good game all around. And, of course, we'll get some of the team stats. Let's see here. We got Crowbait. Lost to Iowa by CPL points. I saw in the comment section was Iowa's talking crap. I hope when they come to PBA, we stomp them out by 20 plus points. I'm normally not an aggressive person, but Iowa's just bad for my blood pressure. Crowbait, I'm with you there. Watching that game was incredibly frustrating. I feel good about it. Again, I know people were upset with that game, including myself after. I don't think anybody seriously thought, well, this Nebraska's team just isn't good enough. They deserve to lose. I think that's why it was all the more frustrating, was you saw that game and you're like, I can't believe Iowa won that. Like, they're not the better team. I didn't think they were the better team, but they were the better team for those 2 halves of basketball. And you tip your cap to it, but I'm with Crowbait. I can't wait. March 8th, for everyone who wants to circle the calendar, March 8th, that's when they're back at PBA. And is obviously the last game of the regular season. And it is also senior day for our Nebraska Cornhuskers. So you definitely want to pull up, support the guys out there, because not a lot of basketball left here. As I was saying, though, we'll kind of go back into this Penn State game, because if we got talking about Iowa, I'll just get sidetracked. Team stats, as we went through the individual stats, everyone played really good for the most part. Shooting, Nebraska, red hot. 52% from the floor, 3-point shot. Nebraska, red hot. They were 14 of 35 from 3. That's good enough for 40% as a team. And again, if you're taking 35 threes and you knock down 40% as a team, that's incredible. A lot of that, shout out Price Sanford. He had a majority of those. I think he actually had 8. Hold on here. How many threes did Price Sanford have? I'm going to see how much we got to credit him for this. Bryce Sanford in this game for his points. If I can actually go back and find it here. Okay, yeah. So in this game, Bryce Sanford had 8 threes. So he made up more than half of the team's threes. And that's how you get to a 14 and 35 from three. Man, I'll tell you what, if one other guy has a really good day shooting from three, Nebraska easily shoots over 50%. Just incredible stuff right there. Free throws, Nebraska 75% from the floor. They were 9 of 12. Rebounds, Nebraska won the battle. Shout out Garcia, as they did earlier. That's the role I think a lot of people maybe saw him heading into the year. Was maybe not going to be a guy who needs a ton of offense. If he gives you 10, 15 points, he'll take it every time. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think he was going to be a guy where that's what you're expecting. I think you're expecting hustle on defense, rebounding, and get the easy points when you get the pass. Because we have some guys on this team like Sam Hoiberg that will feed you if you make the right play or if you find yourself getting open. Assist 13 to 22. Sam Hoiberg almost out-assisted Penn State alone. Again, Sam Hoiberg had a double-double. 11 points, 10 assists in this game, only 3 turnovers. Penn State, only the 13 assists. Steals, 6 for Penn State, 7 for Nebraska. Nebraska also had 4 blocks and only 1 turnover. Or excuse me, 4 blocks, while Penn State only had 1 block. Total turnovers, Penn State had 15. Nebraska only had 11 points off turnovers. Nebraska would have 19, Penn State 16. Fast break points, 4 to 6, nothing really there. Points in the paint was pretty close, 36-34. Fouls, close. Game didn't feel like it's fish shaped poorly at all. Largest lead for Nebraska was 28, and for Penn State, just 3. Very early in that game there. So there you go. That's how you get to a dominant win. You not only get more shots, you shoot better from 3, you shoot better from the floor as a whole, you shoot better from the free throw line. Although you don't get there as much when you did, you actually took care of business, where Penn State, if you're going to make it to the free throw line 70 times, maybe you got to make it a little bit more than just going 11 for 17. Same thing with rebounding. Good to see Nebraska come back, win that battle. The assist numbers, 22 assists is great. You're going to take 22 to 11. That is a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio as a collective, as a team, which is phenomenal stuff there. You'll win a lot of ball games. And then you're looking at the road here for Nebraska men's basketball. What's all left? It's just the West Coast trip. Well, first they got to go to Maryland, and then it's the West Coast trip. So at home versus Maryland, that one on the 25th. So Wednesday, we will likely have that post-game show around 8 o'clock. And then they hit the West Coast. You got USC on the road, UCLA on the road, and of course, the one everyone's waiting for, you get Iowa back at the Vault on March 8th. And that's the slate. Not a whole lot of basketball left. And then before you know it, these guys are going to be into the Big Ten tournament. And Nebraska is going to be kind of buying for that, where they kind of fit in those standings, and whether they're going to be a double bye team, a single bye team. Certainly probably not too much lower than that. Because if we go take a peek at the Big Ten standings for men's basketball right now, as it sits, you have Michigan ahead in the front, followed by Illinois, and then Purdue and Nebraska. Purdue, Nebraska, both 3 games behind. Illinois, 2.5 games behind. Obviously, unfortunately for Nebraska, Purdue's got that tiebreaker, but we got the tiebreaker versus Michigan State. They're currently sitting there at 3.5 behind. And then Wisconsin Badgers, who've really made quite a surge as the season keeps going on here. Wisconsin's sitting there at 10-5 in Big Ten play. They are 4.5 games behind. So Michigan likely to go ahead, punch that ticket to get that double bye there. But if you're looking at Nebraska, you're sitting there 12-4 in conference play. You're 3 games behind. There are not a ton of games left, but you kind of like the schedule you have in front of you. I think your favorite to win every single one of those. UCLA could be a tough game. And again, the West Coast, it's a long travel, but it feels like Nebraska usually plays pretty well when they go on those West Coast travels there. So you're feeling pretty good. And you look at where Iowa's at. Iowa's actually sitting there 5.5 games behind. They're 9-6 in the Big Ten. USC's 7-9 in the Big Ten. They're 8 games behind. And UCLA, they're 10-6 in Big Ten. They're only 5 games behind as well, right with Iowa. And then where is Maryland? And then Maryland, they are 4-12 in the Big Ten, 11 games behind. So those are your opponents left in this order. You're going to play Maryland, who's currently in the Big Ten, 4-12. You'll follow that up by playing UCLA, who's 10-6 in Big Ten play. Then USC, who's 7-9 in Big Ten play. And then wrapping up with Iowa. And you try to get that back, who was 9-6 in Big Ten conference play. That is the layout for Nebraska men's team. You like where they're at? Plenty of positives there, and a lot to get to in this first segment. So there's kind of the rundown. You got women's basketball versus Washington later today in about an hour and a half at 2:00. And then, of course, USA gets the gold medal. They win over Canada, men and women's, in USA hockey in the Winter Olympics there. So lots to celebrate there. And the one thing we haven't got to yet is wrestling. Wrestling had a big one yesterday. They dominated at Utah Valley. That makes it 3 straight road competitions. That leads them to, I want to say, very optimistic looking Big Ten Wrestling Championship. So we'll talk about that next. Don't go anywhere. Harrison Arens of the 1s and 2s going solo for the Breeze today, right here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Gentlemen, are you ready for something beyond the ordinary haircut? At Scissors and Scotch Lincoln, they blend your old school barber feel with your favorite watering hole. Sink into a comfy chair, unwind with a complimentary drink, and let their master barbers handle the rest. It's not just grooming, it's an experience. Whether you're prepping for a big meeting, needing to get cleaned up before family comes to town, or just need a little time to yourself, Scissors and Scotch Lincoln delivers sharp style every time. Book now at Scissors and Scotch in Lincoln, just south of 30th and Yankee Hill Road.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
Planet Fitness has everything you need anytime the motivation hits, so you can give everything you've got. With most clubs open 24 hours, you've got access to our best-in-class equipment to tackle early morning reps, late-night miles, and every workout in between. Join the club today and save $28 or more when you join for just $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends February 27th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas, and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
and electrical.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes! Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Looking for something fun tonight? Axe throwing, local beer, and great vibes are waiting at Arbor Axe House. From casual nights out to celebrations and team events, it all starts here. Reserve a lane today at arbораxe.com. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Here's the ones to do's. Doing the breeze solo, just by myself though, as we got our own things to take care of. Well, at least DP and Haas the Breezy do, as they're out busy. And I mentioned it. Nebraska wraps up the regular season in really good form. You start back to January 20. I don't want to do it. January 23rd. We'll bring them in here. At home, you lose to the Iowa Hawkeyes, and this one I felt like was probably the one that stung the most because it was Iowa, of course. And now we're sitting here and Iowa's beat us in football. They've beat us in wrestling. They beat us in basketball. I don't know why I was blanking on that. I just spent 25 minutes on the last segment really harping on Iowa. It all hurts. And then, of course, volleyball. But Iowa doesn't like to talk about the volleyball part because they've never beaten Nebraska in volleyball. But that one hurt a lot for obvious reasons. You lose to that one, not only because it's Iowa. That was at home. I think it was a sellout crowd, if not pretty close to it. And people were really anticipating Nebraska to be able to come out with a big-time win in this one. On paper, it said Nebraska was better. It never said it should be a blowout. But I think you thought there was enough momentum on Nebraska's side of things to be able to pull this one out. And they don't. Ironically, the week after, Iowa goes and loses to Minnesota, who was the team that Nebraska just beat before they lost to Iowa. So maybe there is something about Iowa where they always seem to play a little bit better when Nebraska's at the table. But after that, it was a tough sled. They played number 2 Ohio State at home. They wrestled 16-17. Nebraska loses, but you see some good stuff there. Then, of course, you move on to number 1 Penn State on the road at that, one of the toughest places to wrestle, which unfortunately, that is where the Big Ten Wrestling Championships will be. They will be at University Park, Pennsylvania. So Penn State gets a huge advantage there. But they lose 12-26. And even that 12-26, I thought it was a little bit closer than even that score indicates. Nebraska wrestling had a lot of positive things they thought to look at coming out of there. And then you go on and you prove it because you body Northwestern. I mean, 47-0. I don't care who that is. Division I, Power 4, Big Ten. You're dropping 40 plus on somebody. You're sniffing around 50. That is what you call significant trauma. for the Northwestern Wildcats. That's a tough one to pick yourselves up from. And you like that for Nebraska. Everyone getting wins on that one. You hand them a goose egg. And then after that, you go on the road, number 11, Illinois, 28-11, pretty dominant there. On the road again, number 20, Indiana, you win 34-5, and then you wrap things up with Utah Valley on the road to wrap it up. Like I said, 32-6. So that is 4 straight wins, all of which I thought were really impressive. And even the 2 losses before, and I always kind of reference the Iowa and Penn State match. I don't know if they were pissed after Iowa. They felt like they were better than that. I certainly think they were. But even on those 2 losses, I thought they showed significant improvement. And if they keep going on and on and on, I like where this team's heading. I know me and DP talked about it last night. It's going to be interesting. How many guys give themselves an opportunity to be a Big Ten champ or a Big Ten, first or second place there? And how much do we really care about that? Because this team might be good enough to go get runner-up or maybe even more in the NCAA national championships. There's a lot of guys in this team that I don't think would be surprised. If we get to the national championships and they say Brock Hardy made it, okay, I don't think anyone's really surprised. If they say AJ Ferrari's in the finals, okay, that's nothing new. He's already a champion, and just rack another one up for him. If they said Antrell Taylor was in there, not surprised. So he's won it last year, of course. So that's 3 guys that not only would you, maybe not be surprised, there's going to be some people that would, I'm not a betting man. Some people would put their money on it. So maybe they see some things that they don't, or there is a not wildly popular opinion or unwildly popular opinion say that Antrell Taylor might be the best pound for pound wrestler in his weight, because he was last year, and this year he's putting on tape. He's got multiple top 10 wins. He looks like one of the best at that weight right now. And Minto, although he might be a dark horse, I don't think anyone's jaw would hit the floor if Minto found a way. Even Lamer lost in that last one to Utah, but it wasn't. No, but you might hear Utah Valley and think he wasn't wrestling. Really great competition. He was wrestling number 11, David Evans, at Utah Valley, and number 19, Chance Lamer. It was a tough one for him. He falls, gets a second match of that entire night versus Utah Valley that they lost. The other one was Tyler Eyes for Nebraska in place of Silas Allred wrestled. He also would take a loss there. Tough. You want to win them all. I know DP told me about, head coach Mark Manning. It looked like he wasn't super mad, but not super pleased. I think he was expecting the guys to shut out, and he wanted every single one of his guys to be able to go out there and get a win. And unfortunately, having those 2 losses was tough, but he still did enough there. But all this to say, you look at this team up and down the roster, even Silas Allred, who I just said didn't wrestle this week, no one's going to be incredibly surprised. I know I'm just blanking on guys that I don't want to do, but Camden McDaniel, LJ Rougeau, some of these are going to be a little bit more favorable than others if you're a betting guy, which I'm not telling you to be. I personally am not, but they're all at least in contention. So that's why I'm really excited for it. Big Ten Wrestling Championships, it starts really quick. Actually, it's March 7th. So if you want to make the trip, it is in Pennsylvania, University Park, Pennsylvania. Otherwise, you can watch it on TV. We'll certainly do all the post-game matches, conversations right here at the Ticket Studios, and maybe we'll have Rachel Lovett or Caleb Smith stream in. I wouldn't be surprised if those guys make their trip down there as well. Let's go back to the text line here. Let's see. Nebraska 41-0 against Iowa volleyball, if I remember right. Yeah, I think you're right, which is just an incredible stat. So, again, that's why they probably don't bring that one up. I'm talking about Iowa's unfortunate wins versus Nebraska, but the volleyball team always takes care of business. And shout out to the volleyball team. I know if you guys aren't aware, they're out there getting ready for some beach volleyball. It's kind of interesting how it works. So you got the now associate head coach, Jalen Reyes. He's also the head coach for the Nebraska beach volleyball team. And no, they're not different players. They are just the same 16 players that also play beach volleyball during beach volleyball season. I don't know why more schools don't do this, especially if you're trying to figure out the Title IX situation. And this isn't me, just talking to talk. I mean, this is stuff that me and Jalen Reyes have kind of talked about before. Is it's a really good way. ADs would love it because it saves the AD a lot of money from having to start an entire another program because you're just using the same 16 players. So, okay, you have 32 women athletes that kind of fill that Title IX requirement, but you're actually only giving out 16 scholarships And yes, you have to pay for both of those seasons for the travel and the uniforms, all that stuff, but you're using the same coaches and the same athletes. So right there, you're eliminating a ton of costs that you would have to do if you had them be separate. And also, it's just a good way for make your volleyball team better. I mean, you can just have those guys compete in two sports that they are different. Like, don't get me wrong, volleyball, beach volleyball, a lot of the same skills, very different on how you use those skills, but you get the leadership and the camaraderie. And especially like for freshmen, you got to remember it's pairings of two. So if I'm a freshman out there for beach volleyball, and during the regular season, I was a freshman and never really spoke. I didn't get minutes on the court now because I'm not good, but hey, I'm a freshman. There's still time to get better, and you have really good athletes already out there on the floor. Well, in the beach volleyball world, now I get to go play if I'm in beach volleyball, and maybe I'm out there with Terea Sigler, one of the captains on the team. And not only does it put pressure on me, but it also kind of gives me an opportunity to figure out the chemistry with those guys, and maybe find my own leadership. So those are some of the strengths with beach volleyball. And I know it's not always easy to go find and watch. They go compete at the Alloy. I think that's mainly friends and family. We were kind of hoping for nicer weather. If it was nice weather, they were planning on having it outside, but as you guys can look around and see the snow and ice on the ground, it was not quite nice enough. So only at the Alloy. I know it's kind of tough to get to, but they will travel. I do believe it's to Arizona and Florida this year. So I know we have a lot of snowbirds and a lot of locals in Arizona already that just live there. Go check them out. It's the same volleyball players. And if you want to get their autograph, you can do it there. It would be a lot less chaotic than trying to get it at the Bob Devaney after a game or before a game there. So I did want to point that out there because obviously what Jalen Reyes has done for that volleyball program, not only as just a leader, but I mean, he's a damn good recruiter. You don't have the volleyball roster that Nebraska does if you do not have a guy like Jalen Reyes, who's not been doing it just for a little bit now, who's been here for quite a while with Nebraska. And you're seeing it with John Cook, and now obviously seeing it continue with Danny Busboom Kelly. The man knows how to recruit, and he knows how to get the best talent here in the state of Nebraska because we've been able to do that over and over and over, it seems, as he's been here. So with that being said, we'll throw it to a little bit of an early break here. So I want to save a little bit more time, about 10 minutes or so, for Nebraska football. A lot of spring football comments that I still haven't even had the time to get to. We'll talk about that all next right here. The Breeze, Harrison Arns on the Ticket, 93.7 The Ticket. Talk to you in a bit.
All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate. Are you looking for something different for lunch or dinner in Lincoln? Big 8 is now open at 1226 P Street, serving seafood boils and Asian cuisine. Get your hands messy with fresh, flavorful seafood boils, hot, bold, and made to share. Or enjoy classic Chinese and Asian dishes, perfect for lunch, dinner, or a night out with friends and family. Big flavors, generous portions, and a brand new dining experience. Big 8, now open in Lincoln.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Hog Wild has a delicious way for you to enjoy beef brisket. It's our open-faced hot beef sandwich. We start with our grilled Texas toast. Add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes. Load them up with some tender Hog Wild beef brisket and top it off with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Fans, are you craving the ultimate game day experience? Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill has your front row seat to all the action. Dive into delicious wings, juicy burgers, and ice cold drinks, all served up with TVs covering every inch of the wall, so you'll never miss a play. Rally your crew, cheer on your team, and take advantage of game night specials every week. Stop in for a Nebraska basketball game with a party of 4 or more and receive a free pitcher of beer. Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill, right by the Lincoln Airport at 3111 Northwest 12th Street. Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197. Hey guys, Nick Sainert here. Join me live from Arlington, Texas, this Friday through Sunday as 93.7 The Ticket covers Husker baseball's appearance in the Amagi Bank College Baseball Series. I'll have pregame and postgame videos on the Ticket social media pages, as well as commentary throughout Friday's 3 p.m. game versus Louisville, Saturday's 7 p.m. game against Kansas State, and Sunday's 2:30 p.m. game against Florida State. Our coverage from Arlington is sponsored by Diode Technologies, Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador, Scissors and Scotch Lincoln, and Chick-fil-A South Point Pavilions.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Fans, are you craving the ultimate game day experience? Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill has your front row seat to all the action. Dive into delicious wings, juicy burgers, and ice cold drinks, all served up with TVs covering every inch of the wall, so you'll never miss a play. Rally your crew, cheer on your team, and take advantage of game night specials every week. Stop in for a Nebraska basketball game with a party of 4 or more and receive a free pitcher of beer. Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill, right by the Lincoln Airport at 3111 Northwest 12th Street.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in, wrapping things up here on The Breeze, just Harrison Arrington. We're calling with The Breeze. We kind of hopping everywhere. We talked from beach volleyball to men's basketball, women's basketball, USA hockey, Husker wrestling. Shout out to the bowlers as well. You guys might still have time. Big Red invites down there at Hollywood Lanes. I don't know exactly. There is no official when it's going to end, obviously. But I think if you get there around 2 o'clock, you should be able to see just a little bit more action. Obviously, I highly encourage you guys to go check it out now if you want to, so you can try to get as much as you can. But free attendance. So if you don't have tickets, don't worry about it. Just walk in the doors. Pretty good crowd too. Conference USA. A lot of Conference USA, I should say, is out there. It is the Big Red invite. They invited essentially a lot of Conference A teams, but basically a lot of just great teams that are likely going to have their chances to punch their ticket to Vegas. Vegas, of course, being where those national championships are held. So go check it out if you haven't. Super easy to get to. It's free. The food's cheap. I'll tell you that much right there. A cup of coffee, you get unlimited refills. I certainly enjoyed that yesterday. With that all being said, though, let's get to a little bit of football because, man, I'll tell you what, we're starting to get this place where it's not fun, especially when it's our job to talk about it here at the media. I'm never going to tell you guys how to feel, but, man, when you start to see like the comments with Mike Eckler kind of talking, the big one is he made the comments down there at USC about how nice it is to have Lincoln Riley, who wants to be at those special teams meeting when the other guy apparently wasn't there ever. And that other guy, I'm assuming referring to Matt Rule, the head coach there. Is that pettiness? Is that him just making a comment, not realizing, without some context around it? It sounds really bad. And the other thing that scares me is it just feels like, are we really letting special teams just kind of fall apart again and like not be a part of focus? Maybe Brett Maher is going to be a great guy, and Matt Rule, that's how he operates, right? He's like, I am not in the room because I trust you 100% that you can get this done. Therefore, I do not need to be in the room. Okay, maybe that's totally fair. However, before Mike Eckler was there, our special teams was a massive problem. So does that, like, I don't know, were you not in the room for those special teams coordinators? Like before, when we didn't quite have it figured out with Ed Foley, like were you just like, Ed Foley, you 100% got it. I won't be in these meetings because we didn't get it. Like clearly special teams was a huge issue. With Mike Eckler, it wasn't an issue. With Brett Maher, maybe it is an issue. I don't know. And maybe, again, Eckler himself is, I don't want to say being petty, but just said it and doesn't realize, how bad that may sound when you take it to a closer lens on it. But again, it's just like comments like that scare me because it's so frustrating, man. I mean, if the special teams unit falls apart, how many games can we count up just in my lifetime? For reference, I'm 26 years old. A lot of this really heats up when we fired Bo Pelini for obvious reasons. You go bring in Mike Riley. You're going through these coaching cycles, and it's just like, bad hire after bad hire after bad hire. And I'll tell you one thing that was pretty common with a lot of the bad hires was special teams wasn't that important and they would cost us games. That's why I use the rest. I'm 26. There's so many games in my head that I can just think about where we have lost because special teams was an utter disaster. To the point to where, hey, let's not even try to use special teams as a weapon. We're so scared of messing it up. We're just going to fair catch everything, or we're just going to, let it bounce all the way to the 2-yard line because we're so scared to even touch it, even though the right thing to do would be like, let me fair catch it. And hey, at least we're at the 10, not the 2-yard line. But I was so scared to just let it bounce. At least we're not doing that anymore. I hope, unless we revert back to it. So, I don't want to count out special teams. And I do think Brett Maher has the opportunity to be a phenomenal special teams coordinator. Again, I've gone through just his resume. I mean, he's been to a lot of the NFL, some of the NFL teams. I know for the Cowboys, for instance, he had 3 stints with the Dallas Cowboys, a couple with the Jets, with the Browns, a lot of teams. And then he's been on the CFL multiple times as well. So he's kind of seen the operations up there. He's got connections. He's done it at the CFL. He's done it at the NFL. He's done it at college. He did it in high school. The guy knows the craft. Now, the question is, can he teach the craft? It helps if you know it, but there is kind of always that art to, can you actually teach it, though? Because Nick Saban wasn't the greatest football player or greatest athlete ever. Obviously, he knew how to teach it, though, and teach it maybe better than anybody else could. Kurt Cignetti, same thing. That part doesn't always translate just because you're a good athlete. I'm not going to count him out, though. I do think you have seen some improvement when he got here, whether that was because he got here or that's just a coincidence. It is kind of nice. Like, again, when he got here, I want to say it was with Ed Foley, actually, when they were kind of struggling. It felt like some of those things got fixed. And then with Mike Eckler, things really started ramping up there. But just put all that said, that special teams scares me a little bit. We don't have as many comments on it as I want. We'll have to hopefully get those from Brett Maher down the road and some of these more spring football media press conferences. But all just better entertaining stuff there. You go look at that schedule, a couple muffed punts and missed field goals. That season goes from below 6 wins. Even this year, Northwestern, Nebraska has an opportunity to try to get some points before halftime in a game that was kind of close at home versus the Northwestern Wildcats. What happens? We turn over before half. Getting out of halftime, Nebraska gets the ball back for a kickoff return touchdown. Huge momentum by special teams. And the game kind of flips in our favor after that. Michigan State at home. Nebraska gets a blocked punt, turns it into a touchdown. Momentum Nebraska. And then Nebraska would actually end up giving up the lead. I want to say by late the second or early into that third quarter. And luckily they find just enough to kind of claw back to it. But, you know, if you don't have those 7 points and kind of put Michigan State in a hole where they have to try to lock back in and get their composure back early in that game, I don't know if you win that one either. And I know I'm forgetting some key moments in there as well, but I just wanted to say all this, that I hope it's being taken seriously. I'm not here to say that Matt Rule is not taking the special team seriously. Obviously, you know, he understands where that part of the game needs to be, but the Mike Eckler stuff, again, it's just confusing. I don't know the full story, and I will be honest, when you read into it, it's hard to figure out where and why that fell through. Because maybe the why is really simple, and it's, hey, USC's just got nice weather, or maybe the why is worse than we'd like to acknowledge. I'm not here to tell you which one it is, but I didn't tell you to keep an eye out for the special teams operations, because if that part takes a step down this year, it could be a long season for Nebraska. If it continues to prove, who knows? Might be able to sneak some wins in there for us. That is going to be it for me, though. Appreciate everybody listening. Harrison Arens went solo for an hour there. You got plenty left here on A Ticket Sunday. I got Rudy switching over as the producer. And then, of course, your guy, Jacob Bakovin, will be the nighttime Sunday ticket producer. So appreciate everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday right here. 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com.
I'm Alfred Nobel, the inventor of dynamite. So the Nebraska Lottery has asked